Invictus is one of the many films in 2009 about rugby. And it's sort of it's a documentary on sort of how you play rugby, what the rules are, and how the most dramatic moment of rugby occurs when the referee does this. Invictus is Clint Eastwood's latest film about Nelson Mandela and the captain of the rugby team, a Afrikaner, the captain of the South African rugby team. And it's the story of sort of about a year after Mandela is in office, as he's sort of reaching out to his former enemies, his captors, his jailers, those who kept him for 27 years on Robben Island locked up, reaching out to them in an effort to bring people together rather than punish them. The Afrikaners love the national rugby team more than anything. And so he decides, as he did with many things, to reach out and include the Afrikaners in his government. He decides not to disband the team and rename it, but to embrace it, and as South Africa hosts the World Cup in 1995, see if he can get blacks and whites to unite in rooting for the South African national team, which Matt Damon is the captain. And it is that true story of how that team did and how it brought the country together.
All right, so let me start on this one because, look, this is a movie that I should absolutely love. It has Nelson Mandela in it, who I think is the greatest human being alive right now. There, I said it. It has rugby, and I played rugby when I was in college. It's not a big deal. Furthermore, it's
Let me jump in there. You're right. It's not a big deal.
Were either of those the shocking moments?
No,
Okay.
we haven't gotten to the shocking moment yet. And I love sports movies. I loved Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
The Miracle on Ice. I love Victory with Michael Caine and Sylvester Stallone.
I go, these, go.
Quoting Pele there in the movie.
Right.
Okay, so this movie was made for me. I even love the poem Invictus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it couldn't be more tailor-made. So yes, I really liked the movie, but it didn't have something. I mean, it was missing something. It was just X, Y, Z. I wanted M. Okay, I wanted something a little different. And then at the end, I felt like even though I really liked it, it was almost a little too Disney. You know what I'm saying? It was.
I do. Matt, what did you?
I think I know where you're kind of going with this. I feel like if it wasn't a story about, well, I'll put it this way: if you hadn't got so much into the Matt Damon character, into Francois.
I just decided we're just going to call him the captain of the South African.
If they hadn't talked so much and dealt so much with the captain of that team, I think that you'd probably be a little bit happier about the movie, because what Eastwood does as a director and what the script really, I feel like you spend a lot of time getting inside of Mandela's head. It's very clear why he's doing what he's doing. You really understand, and you really feel party to his wisdom when he explains why he's got to leave that team in place, because it is so important to the Afrikaners. It makes sense. But I didn't feel like we never get inside the head of Matt Damon's character, of the captain. I kind of feel like, they go to the captain and they say, or Morgan Freeman, Mandela goes to the captain and says, I want your team to win the World Cup. And he kind of goes, okay.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of that, a lot of just here's what happened next, and then this happened, and then this happened, and we lost an opportunity in there. And by the way, his name is Francois Pinard. I'm pronouncing that, I'm sure, incorrectly, the Pinard part. But and I did some reading on him afterwards, and he was a guy who had supported apartheid because that's what everybody did if you were an Afrikaner. And he said he never thought about it. He assumed Nelson Mandela was in prison. He's a terrorist. He's a danger to South Africa. Of course he's in prison. He never thought about it. It didn't matter to him. So
there's that really good moment early on in the film, at the very beginning of that film, when that rugby coach says,
"You're right.
Here's the day that it's in the trailer. Here's the day the country goes to the dogs. They let that terrorist out of prison."
But we never had that sort of relate to who Matt Damon was. It was just he was the guy who was the captain. And he gets invited to go meet with Mandela, and Mandela tells him, "I think we should win the World Cup," essentially, in not so many words, and because it'll help bring the country together. And we don't know who that guy was that was given this rather awesome responsibility. And when you learn more of the real story, of which they did not deviate much at all, this story is almost 100% true. The real story, I think, is better because it's more complicated. And I think what you're getting at, and I think what we all have a problem with, is that this was an incredibly complicated decision by Mandela, and it had a Disney-esque quality to the decision. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring everybody together instead of drive them apart. Let's see how that works out. You know,
and you
and
guys,
it could have. There was civil war was the alternative constantly, and we never saw that backdrop.
Yeah, and you guys are absolutely right, because you don't see the transformation in Matt Damon. You don't see him going from whatever he was, because you don't know what he was, to what he became, and you don't even see how he inspired the team.
No, you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than throwing a beer can around, which was in the beginning and before you even talked to Mandela.
But I feel like you never get the other half of the story, right? I mean, Mandela serves as the avatar of sorts for the African experience in that country, and he comes along and really is, the best example. And he says over and over again, we have to be the best example. I want to work with our former captors, our former rulers.
We have to be better than other people have to be better than they can be, and we have to be better than we think we can be.
And he shows a magnanimity that is astounding, especially considering what he's gone through. But you don't really ever see, in fact, you see it more with Francois's father a little bit, about him turning the corner emotionally. Right? You don't ever see, I feel like, well, I'll put it, actually, I feel like you see more of the presidential guards. There's that really nice moment where, I mean, it's kind of funny. They kind of play it for comedy. When the black guards are complaining about not having enough men, and they get, their reinforcements are the former white presidential guards, and the black guys flip out about that. They're saying, oh, that can't happen.
Yeah, I had a slight problem with that too, because you never saw those white guards crushing the skulls of the Africans before, so you don't know why they're flipping out. It almost seems like they're unreasonable. I know you know the history of apartheid, but that was a small thing.
Right, but I feel like those guys, you feel that you get to see more of them coming
we
around.
learned more about that chief white guard,
right,
the presidential protection, their version of the Secret Service in this movie, than you do about Matt Damon's character.
Right, you feel like they learn more about working with the blacks, and you feel like they learn more about the end of apartheid than the rugby team ever does.
And I'm going to admit something that's unconscionable. Going in like this is great, because what I used to do is I used to watch movies all the time, and I'd see the trailers, right? So going in the movie, I know 80% of what's going to happen, who's in it, la la la. At the end of the movie, I'm like, oh, Clint Eastwood directed? Okay. Now, which of course I shouldn't admit to you, but I didn't know that going in. But you know what? As soon as I saw Clint Eastwood directed it, I had this moment. Even though I love Clint Eastwood's past work, his recent stuff not so much, and it leads to this point of like, oh, that makes sense, because I felt like he rushed through the movie. Okay, and maybe I'm being unfair to Eastwood, because he has the reputation of one take, let's go, let's get out of here, right? And maybe that doesn't relate to how he directs a movie overall, and how he puts it together. But it felt to me like he's like, okay, I got X, I got Y, I got Z, we got it, let's go.
I really disagree. I disagree on your analysis of his recent movies, because I think 3 of his most recent movies are 3 of his best movies, 3 of the best movies of the decade. Of the best, I don't know, that's a pretty big list I'm counting. Might be of the 30 or 40 best movies. No, but
I know where you're going. I think Sands of Iwo Jima is one of the best movies he ever made.
I agree with that.
Letters.
I guess I'm being unfair to him, because I'm thinking of Gran Torino. Honestly, that was probably the last.
Loved Gran Torino. I thought it was an A. It was a great great film. You should see it again. It's a flat out great film, I think anyway. And obviously and $1 Million Baby was a terrific film. Those were small movies. Even Letters from Iwo Jima, which is about World War II, was a small movie. This I don't think fits into what you're saying about Eastwood, because this was not a small movie. Those were like little movies that told little moving stories. This was actually a rather big movie that told a story, but it was not oddly an emotional story.
Yeah. No. All right. I felt like he rushed through it, but maybe I'm putting things into it that aren't there. But that's the sense I came away with it. But I don't want to mislead people. Let's do our ratings, because I actually really liked the movie. I just wish it was a little better. I wanted it to be great, right? But it still gives you Mandela, and it still gives you a great sense of what happened there. It is very accurate to what happened. There's still the rah-rah thing that I enjoy. So in the end, out of a 10, I'd give it an 8.0. I mean, I think it was a solid-ass movie. Like, if you're going to go to a holiday movie, it's a good one to go to.
You can't say what you just said about the movie and then give it an 8.
I can, and I have, and it's about expectations. Because my expectations, I was hoping for a 9, right? And I told you in the beginning, I really liked it.
You're going to go back.
You were going to
go back and look at this. You can't lead off with it missing something and then give it an 8. I mean, you can. No one's going to arrest you. The movie police aren't coming over. But I don't think that rating is consistent with what you said about the film.
I liked it better than The Road. I liked it better than almost.
Yeah, but it sounds like you only like it marginally better than those.
Yeah, and The Road I gave a 7.2, and this one I give an 8.0. Do you see what I'm saying? All right, and I haven't even yet shocked the world. Okay, all right. So Matt, what do you think?
I would, a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'd probably have to give it a 8.5.
Oh, so you like it better than I
did. As much as I thought that it was a missed opportunity to not get more inside the head of the rugby captain, whatever.
No one prayed. 8.5. We just ripped this movie for 5 minutes. 8. I gave it a 9. I mean, what's wrong with you guys?
All right, so what'd you give it?
I got to tell you, I came out of it thinking that this was a fantastic movie. I don't want to sound like I didn't think it was a good movie. I think that this is a great movie. I think it's actually one of Eastwood's better movies that he's done in the last few years. I think he takes, if only because he manages to show a very human side to Mandela. Right? I mean, it's very easy to treat Mandela as this godlike icon. And
I like the little things. I like the little things like thanking the women he worked for, and the tea, and
flirting with that girl on the dance floor.
Yeah.
I think he does an excellent job there. And I honestly, as much as I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from the Matt Damon character, to me that's a minor issue. I think the movie, for being able to take a story where if you know your history, you know how it ends. Right, if you know your sports history, you know how it ends.
No one knows how that rugby thing ended.
It still makes it exciting.
Don't tell people because no one knows.
No one knows. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Ben, what do you think?
I mean, it's a standard boilerplate sports movie that has a good performance of a nicely nuanced performance of Morgan Freeman as Nelson Mandela. It's a 6.
Wow.
It's okay. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what that means. Like, I'm not thinking of that as like a 6 or a 60, a D minus.
No. I know.
It's
You're
whatever.
saying...
It's like it's an average sports movie. It's all right. It's
okay.
all right.
So you're putting it in the league with Miracle almost.
Yeah, right. I would say it's about like Miracle.
I think it's a far better movie than Miracle.
Yeah. And I love Miracle. I mean, where are you from? And all that. But don't make me get into that.